Welcome back, everybody. Pete here at Spawn Fly Fish. Sorry we've missed you for a couple of weeks here. Pretty busy with the sale and everything going on with the roof, but we're back. So let's just jump into this and tie a fly. In the vise today, you can see I do have the Ahrex SA254, and this is a size 6 for the bead. I have the football bead from Spawn, this being the Crayfish Brown in a size 7.5 millimeter. And let's get some 0.025 lead-free wire wraps on there just to hold that bead in place. About 6 wraps should do us just fine. Just need to my wire scissor here. We'll get rocking and rolling. So this is getting close to the official spring time, whatever you want to call it. Temperatures are slightly warming up here and there. A couple off days, if you will, that go, man, I could probably sneak out to the lake, catch a couple fish. For places where you fish stocked lakes, it's getting to be that time. Maybe in a month or so they'll start stocking again. All that good stuff. Whatever it might be, the point is this: it's time to get ready. Time to tie those flies that they're going to want and they're going to eat. And so this one is in the spirit of a bugger, right? Just keeping it simple. However, it's going to be along the lines of, if everybody else is catching fish on leeches and woolly buggers, but you're kind of late to the game, you don't want to throw the same thing everybody else has been throwing. You want to have some of the same characteristics, maybe the color base, and then add your own flair so that they're not seeing the same thing over and over and over. All right, enough preaching. Let's just get this thing tied up. Fun new product for us here at Spawn. This is the, I want to get this right, Buggerbou. So it's marabou, but it's barred, and this is mini barred, and this is going to be the olive barred brown. And yes, I've trimmed and primped this feather a little bit for our use, but you can see, let me grab just a non-prepped feather here, maybe a couple. This stuff is amazing. I've been a fan of this for years and years and years. We are now going to start adding some MFC products to our offerings here at Spawn. And so I thought I'd kind of showcase one here today, maybe two, and tie with it. So let's just get to it. I'm not going to peel these off the quill. This stuff is beautiful. This is, again, designed for buggers. So there's not a lot you have to do to these feathers. Almost every single bit of this feather is going to be usable. So I'm going to strip down the sides. I'll use that for at least one more fly, probably two. But let's just focus on the tips here. So simply find where all of them kind of get that same end. Bring them together. We're looking for roughly one shank length, just maybe slightly more. And we're simply going to get a couple of soft wraps on there. And now let's check and see if that's going to line up. I think it's going to be great. Let's go ahead and trim out that quill. And I'm going to trim it so that it's going to lay right behind the end of my weighted wires. But for now, let's finish wrapping this tail down. So there we have it. That's where we marked the end of that flat portion of our shank. Look how fluffy and beautiful those fibers are coming off of that. That's amazing, just beautiful. I didn't have to do anything to bar that. It came in the package that way, and I am a fan. All right, there we go. So how about a little flash? I'm just gonna use some Krystal flash. This is medium brown. I'm just gonna veil, I don't know, I've got 4 or 5 pieces here. I'll veil that onto the top. Great, couple loose wraps. I'll split it, and let me do your side first. So I'm just going to take half of those flash fibers, bring them onto your side. Let me cheat here real quickly, if you will, and just make sure that they're going to travel along the lateral section there of that tail, sort of. And then I'll do the same on my side. Nothing crazy. As far as a length, we just want it to match the tail. So bring them all up together if you want. You can make this 2 cuts, whatever, and then come in 1 cut right like so. Again, position them to where they want to sit on the side there. Nothing to it. So the second fun product I want to showcase for you guys, and this I think is going to have a ton of play in a ton of different flies. Rubber Hackle. You guys know how obsessed I am with putting shredded latex and rubber into loops and all that good stuff. But what if it came already on a brush? You didn't have to do that silliness and measure out and pull. They did it for us, so they did it for you. And now let's simply get this tied in. So yes, I've trimmed off the end there. I want a clean tie in. I don't want those first few rubber legs sticking straight back. I just want it all coming off like it's a hackle. This again is a rubber hackle, all right? So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's going to play like hackle. It's going to have the movement of rubber mini legs. I don't know if it gets better than that. I'm getting so excited, I'm just going to skip telling you what I'm putting in here. Here's some fine chenille in brown. Simple. I want to keep the inner core of this fly fairly dark. So not only am I getting that woolly bugger type deal for that leech, if I fish this slow and a little deep, well, now I've got a nice sculpin pattern. Like, this thing is just going to put in work. It's going to get eaten, and there will be, more than one reason why they eat it. And I'm a fan of that sort of mentality in my flies. So I'm going to pull that rubber hackle forward just enough to get one wrap of that chenille behind. And what that's going to do is ensure any movement is eliminated from that wire. And then it's also going to make sure I'm not going to condense or damage my tail when I begin to wrap that. I do want to come up fairly close to the bead here. So as you can see, I could absolutely squeeze another half turn of chenille. I don't want to crowd it quite that much. Again, keep in mind we've got this wire core in that hackle coming through here in a second. So now let's get that chenille trimmed out as cutely as we can. Good pair of sharp scissors, these ones being from the Fly Smith. That's key. All right, so now I'm going to treat this like any feather or any hackle, right? Bring those fibers back with my off tying hand. I'm not going to go touching wraps by any means. You don't need a ton of this stuff. Big spaces, true Palmer here, with space in between each wrap. And so trying to keep it somewhat even as we go. If you can see here, there's nothing I can do to get this to stop moving, right? If that's the case here in Vice, using my hands and tools and all that, imagine the effect it's going to have in the water. Are you kidding? Good luck trying to get that thing to stop moving. And guess what? Fish happen to like that. I know, who'd have thunk? Put it all together, you got yourself a success story. All right, now coming in with the dedicated wire scissor, get that wire cut out of there on our hackle. So at this point, I will get a little picky. And there's one leg here, sticks out over the front. No, thank you. Great. That's about all I can see as far as problematic little pieces. That core that we just cut, go ahead and just bend that back. No worries. Not going to touch any of your line, leader, any of that. And this wouldn't be a Pete style fly if, of course, we didn't make it just slightly outrageous. Here's a second bugger mini barred marabou feather, Buggerbou. What I've done on this guy is gone up onto the tip this time and trimmed out a cute little tie-in space. I hope you guys can see that right there above the bead. And I'm going to tie this concave side toward the shank, which leaves the convex or the pretty dark side up on top facing the sky, so that when we wrap, that will face forward and we get to see it as we retrieve it back. And the fish, it will look more natural to them as well. So I do have some water over here in my bowl. I'm just going to coax these fibers back, and then we'll simply wrap all this goodness as our collar. I don't think I'm going to need too much. As you can see, I don't want to undo or eliminate the effect of our rubber hackle, right? So I do want to be mindful of that. There we go. Now I've got a hot mess, and yet I like a hot mess, so I'm going to go with this I'm just going to see if I can undo any of these trapped fibers before we tie this down. And I think that will get most of them. There we go. Now I've got a clean tie-in. Forgive my fingers there for a second. That one's going to get cut out. I can already see it. There we go. We'll run with it. When you see your moment of opportunity, by all means, seize said opportunity. All right, now bring that back. Wrapper 2 in front, nothing to it. Carefully trim out that beautiful feather and that quill. And now what we're left with is these sparse fibers coming around in an umbrella sort of effect around that rubber, and that rubber is going to fight against those fibers that are kind of like the chandelier, and so you're going to have this undulation that will not stop. If you have issues with motion sickness, I suggest you maybe don't tie and fish this fly, because there's nothing you can do to make it stop. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Time to take this fly out the door. Let's do that one more time. Got a second whip finish in here. Beauty. At this point, of course, get your head cement involved. But just for you guys, since you've been so patient and you're such loyal viewers, let's do this right and see what this thing looks like wet. Shall we? There's a quick look of her. Dry still. Boom. Not anymore. Gone swimming, out for lunch, whatever you want to call it. Let's get this thing wet. Yeah, this is definitely going to have play, not just as a leech, but also as a sculpin. And again, all that modeling and barring combined with the waving and undulation and movement and the rubber legs just going silly every which direction is going to mean big fish hitting that fly all day. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, check out the new products that we're going to have on the website here from MFC. We'll start showcasing a few more as we go. But by all means, if you enjoyed this today, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and we will see you all on the water.